Is there a way to check on your portfolio without an advisor, or do you highly recommend a financial advisor?
Yeah, and I don't want to be biased here and say you need a financial advisor, because we have people we work with that are fairly astute. They love following the markets, might buy some index funds, and that's great. But I think at the end of the day, it's really important that you do check in, how your allocations are. And so for us, when we look at things, not to divert the question here, but you don't have to have a financial advisor to rebalance your portfolio. I think one of the things a financial advisor brings to the table is they're in it daily. They're looking at this. They're getting resources. Like I've said before, we partner with Fidelity. We get insight from them. We find out what they think the economy's at, where it's going to be going. Not that they're right all the time, nor is anybody, but absolutely. If somebody's comfortable managing, their overall allocation, what we tend to do is we fine tune that. We may add a little bit to one asset class versus the other. But the scary part is we have found a lot of people that have worked their entire life, say for one company, and they're getting closer and closer to retirement. And we will sit down with them and we will ask them, so when's the last time you've kind of reviewed your 401k or your 403b? And you'd be shocked. I mean, oftentimes it's like, well, this is how I allocated back when I started. Yeah. And here we are 30 years later, and I still have 90% of my money in the stock market.
I don't know if I'd be shocked, but as a financial advisor, you probably are shocked.
Right.
And maybe a little bit disappointed. But I can see that happen. Money is intimidating for folks and scary. And we have that emotional aspect and worry and panic. So how do you help people with that? You mentioned, okay, maybe this person hasn't touched their 401k since for 30 years, they've been just doing the same thing. How can you help people make the right decisions and then try and not get the emotional side into things or the panic? What are some tips that you have for folks?
Yeah, great question. And I think for us, everything centers around building a plan. And I don't care if you're in your 30s, your 40s, or even in your 60s. It's kind of like, it might be a little bit of a corny analogy, but it's like if we were hopping into a car and we wanted to drive to Dallas, Texas, but I didn't have a phone or GPS. I know I need to go south, but I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to go. Right. So that's where, a plan comes into place. And so I look at retirement kind of the same way. That is it important when you're in your 30s and 40s to at least have some kind of direction? I personally say absolutely. Because in today's world, there's lots and lots of choices. There's, even for the 30, 40-year-olds, do I put all of my money into the pre-tax in the retirement plan? Do I put some into the Roth? How much should I put in? I mean, all these things do matter, but you won't see the implications of that till you actually retire. And that is one thing, and we'll talk about this in one of the other lessons in the book, is one of the challenges we find is that people that are now retiring, Cammie, they maybe maxed out their 401ks and didn't even think about putting any into the Roth component. So now when they go to retire, it's a large percentage of their entire net worth. So we have people that might have $1 million, $2 million in their retirement plan. They retire next year and 90% of their net worth has never been taxed. And again, I don't want to go into too much detail right now because we are going to get into that in future episodes. So I think it's important that people have a plan in place so that they can at least have some direction about where they're going to go. And again, we'll talk about that coming up also. Where does the money come from? Does it just come out of thin air? Of course it doesn't. But we'll get into that in the next lesson, which is the cash flow section, which we'll talk about down the road.